We are live.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to ask whoever is not speaking to just mute the mic so that we don't get the echo. Yes. Welcome to Conscious Life Collective, to the social wellness panel. And we're so excited today because we get to talk about love. And Valentine's Day just passed. And the most natural thing is to remind ourselves that Valentine's Day could be every single day. And we can be connected to the energy of love every single day. And that's the inspiration behind this panel. And I am so proud and humbled to introduce you to the most amazing people who are joining us here today. So I'm just going to go in the way I see people on my screen. And the first person I see is Frankie. Frankie is a co-founder of Light to Earth Sanctuary, and she's just all love. Everything about her project, about her life, and about everything she shares with the world is all about helping people to connect to love and feel loved. And I think that's the main thing. And Frankie, you will speak for yourself, of course, but that is what I feel. And April is a co-founder of the same most amazing sanctuary for women, for not only women but for people and animals. You help people and animals. And again, the name of it is Light to Earth Sanctuary. It's a non-profit organization. And I know you two girls create magic. Now, Mikki is my co-founder. We create the Conscious Life Collective together, and we create these panels and all of the events together. Mikki is also she works with beauty, and she helps women to feel loved and also look beautiful at the same time. um, Cami. Cami is a founder of Cami Guildner Coaching, and she's also founder of an amazing community, Extraordinary Women Connect. I love Cami, and I consider her my personal mentor. So thank you for being here. Jemma. Jemma she's a fairy. She talks to She talks to God, to universe, to angels all the time. And she brings the most amazing, the word is not even bring it. She channels, she just delivers the most amazing messages that we need to hear. And the frequency that she shares with the world really helps us to be better. So thank you, ladies, for joining us. My name is Julia Bernatsky, and I'm the founder of Untamed Hearts and co-founder of Conscious Life Collective. So with that said, let's get to it. So, like I said, February is known to be the month of love. And we just passed Valentine's Day. Now, it's an amazing holiday. I love it. But you know what? Some people, especially if they may not have like a significant other, would feel sadness during that day. So I want to remove that completely. And just today is not a Valentine's Day, but the February is like the whole month of love, right? So what I want to remind us that the longest relationships in our life are with ourselves. And the most important one are with ourselves. And I just want to remind us that it doesn't matter who you are with. It could be that you are living alone right now because of these unprecedented times. It could be that you have your whole family around you. And it could be that you're in love with people in your family, or you might be a little bit tired because we're locked into smaller spaces and we don't have the outlets. So there's all kinds of things that are happening with love and relationships. And we just wanted to kind of open it up in the way that it's real, it's raw, it's unscripted. None of us are prepared. So we wanted to talk about how do we develop that consciousness, like this conscious muscle about love, so that it wouldn't be affected, but what like these circumstances or who we are with, because the energy of love is our birthright. It's the highest vibration of energy, and it allows us to feel nurtured, happy. It allows us to feel stronger and balanced. So I wanted to ask you, ladies, how do you nurture the relationships with yourself? How do you love you during these turbulent times? And everybody gets to talk about that. And please let me know who wants to go first. You can just unmute yourself and go.
I'll go.
Okay.
I love this topic. This whole self-love thing is such an important part of just showing up in our best light. And I think this making space for myself every day and doing it in a way that it's in fact, I changed the word I used last year. I used to call it my morning rituals. And instead now it's more about, it's not the ritual, but it's actually the sacred space that I get to make for myself. And I get to own this space in a different way. And it feels so good to get up early and take an hour when there's nobody else around. And it doesn't always look the same. And I shift it up and I change it up. But I love that morning time for me, that I get to really just be in that space of self-care and stopping and tuning in and listening and feeling. One of my clients gave me a bio mat this last year, which is like this most amazing mat that has amethyst in it. And talk about like self-care, like when you just like you lay on that and you let that energy of the amethyst come up through it. I'm like, oh my God, this is like just such a beautiful thing. So it's like little things, like it can be something like that, or just like oil on your body. All those sorts of things are all self-care. And it was really interesting through this past year. I made more space for that. You know, I really made more space for myself like that. And you know, I think that's a good blessing that I take out of this year into beyond, is making that gift to myself every day.
I love that. Thank you, Cami. It's such a great reminder that this time that sometimes seems crazy actually gave us a little bit more space to create relationships with ourselves. Thank you for reminding us that.
Yeah. And what I was going to, one other thing, I said it wasn't ritual. It's not routine. It is ritual. So that's the difference. I chose the word ritual, and it's not a morning routine. It's a morning ritual. So.
Yes, I want morning ritual too. I'm working towards that.
Yeah.
Thank you. How about Frankie?
I would love to share. Many years ago, I had to learn how to laugh with myself and dance alone and enjoy just who God created me to be, and just bask in that. And it reminds me today, I went for a walk in nature. It was a little bit warmer here in New Jersey today, 50 degrees and sunny. And I started walking and breathing in the beautiful air. And I decided to put some music on. And I just started dancing. It's like really crazy dancing in the middle of the street for about 35 minutes. I just danced and I walked and I laughed and I felt the joy from above and the joy within. And I think, you know, there's something really meaningful when we can laugh with ourselves and out ourselves, and we can dance alone and just feel joy and feel gratitude. So yeah, many years ago, I learned the importance of just loving who you are, and spending time alone to fill up your cup. You know, April and I lead a nonprofit organization, and our life calling is service. And we want to pour out and we want to make a difference and touch lives, but we can't fill the cups of others unless we're overflowing ourselves. So I think laughing at myself and dancing alone, amongst many other things, have really blessed my soul tremendously. So just being silly and loving life.
Love that. I love that. And listen, one of the ways to love is not to take life too seriously. Because love is light. It's a light energy. It's beautiful. Frankie, just a few words about a Light to Earth Sanctuary so that people know what it is, really, and then you can share a link to your site or to your social media so people can get in touch with you later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Light to Earth Sanctuary, April and I, she's here, is my co-founder, and we are a safe oasis for women, children, and animals. Our website is light-to-earth-sanctuary.org, and we have opportunities like Soul Sisters. We want to bless and support women and mentor women this year. So check out our website and come and support and bless women, or receive the support and receive the blessing. Talk about self-care, relationships with other women who are supporting us is a huge need for us as well. So thank you so much.
Amazing. That project is a labor of love. And that's why I just wanted to share it with as many people as possible. Thank you, Frankie. Jemma, would you like to go next?
All right. So I got my mic on. So I was thinking about this question because I've been talking about it on my podcast for weeks now with Valentine's coming. And it's basically the core of what I believe happiness is. And it starts with loving yourself. So I'm always teaching this. And for myself, it's been a practice of letting go because I feel the attachments I have to outcomes. In general outcomes. And a lot of times they're money motivated. So it's like an outcome that this thing happens so that I don't have to spend that money. That can often be a motivation. And then it doesn't feel good. So I have to hone back into that loving self through the letting go process. So that's my biggest thing, is to wake up and recognize, like, what am I holding on to as an answer for happiness, and therefore, what do I have to let go of? Just to find that center of loving self in the middle of, just in the middle of life, like where do I sit in between being present, and doing this world, which is very distracting from being loving in general. So that's basically it. I'm practicing letting go and just assisting others, in the day-to-day comings and goings of life.
I love that. And I love that you really are like, and it's always what you do. You always help people to see how to find a way, and find a way to be more present and to be more in a being rather than in doing. And that's Gemma's gift. Gemma, could you please just tell us, because I missed that, the name of your podcast?
Yes, my podcast is That Happiness Show, and it can be found Apple iTunes. It can be found through my website, Castbox, and SoundCloud. So that's where and I think I just did episode 346.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your podcast is amazing, and I'm looking at Cami, because Cami, you're gonna want to connect, right? Yes. This is a perfect marriage. So that's another thing, guys. How do we share love? We connect. We connect, and we help each other to express in the best way possible all of those projects that we create in the world. So thank you. And how about April? What's your take on this question?
So for me, I think that it's really easy to kind of get caught up in all of the things that have to be done, or the things that, can't happen normally, quote unquote, because of COVID. So one of the things that I really started to do every single day is to practice gratitude and to really thank God for all of the things in my life that I do have, and that even though things may not have gone as planned personally, or, you know, with the plans with the sanctuary, it really allowed us and me to be creative and think of alternative ways and to be able to do things that I wasn't able to do before. And I normally am practicing this gratitude when I'm out for a walk in nature, and when I'm in an Epsom salt bath, when I'm doing things that make me feel good inside and out. So I'm doing something for my body to physically feel good. And then I'm literally counting my blessings. And that emotionally and spiritually and mentally is so fulfilling. And I really try to do it in the morning and the evening to start my day off on a really positive note, and then kind of reflect on everything that happens and be so grateful for it.
I love that. I love that because you just reminded us that appreciation is the seed level for all the love in the world.
Yeah.
Because without that, it's hard to connect. And I also know, April, that you are a health coach, right? And you help.
Yes.
So everything you said is just so aligned with who you are and what you're doing and sharing in the world. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a big believer, you know, and this is completely aligned with our organization as well, of that mind, body, spirit healing. And you can't feel whole and complete when one of those things are missing. So you nourish your body through your foods and your supplements and your oils, and you take care of your appearance, and you take care of your soul and your beliefs. And you really need to have that well-roundedness to just live such a fulfilling life.
Totally. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Can I share just really shortly that for those of you listening who battle with health issues, April, since a very young age, has always had multiple autoimmune disorders. And so her gratitude practice and her self-care practice comes from such a deep place of someone who suffered through so much and still has overcome so much. So I just wanted to share that to encourage someone.
Thank you. Yes. And it's definitely like, you girls, please share your contacts in the comments, because people will be watching it in replay also, so that people can connect and find you. And they would want to. And Mikki, do you want to?
Well, I think just to kind of sum up what the others have said, and I think one thing that this unprecedented time that we're going through has reminded all of us, or maybe just sort of brought back to the surface for some, is that self-care is not selfish, and that so many felt that taking time away from the hustle and bustle of their what they considered normal daily life felt very selfish. And now it's become a necessity, and it's now become the norm. And I know that so many people will not be going back to that previous habit of, the way of life. And this has become a habit now, or a ritual in their life. And, I've spoken to so many people, and whatever it is that they've been able to now have the opportunity or the time, or the resources to explore, like you said, Cami, with like the amethyst, with the pad, like there's things that we've now been able to experience that maybe we just wouldn't have taken the time or put the effort into, or maybe been connected to that right person before, where now we've been having these collaborations and these connections, and we've been sharing so much with each other. And it's been sort of this strange gift for all of us, to experience this time that's slowed down.
Yes, totally. Oh, thank you to summarizing it this way. And it's like really great perspective, Mikki. And was just listening to one of my favorite podcasts. It's Spiritually Hungry. The name of it is Spiritually Hungry. And those are my teachers, like I study Kabbalah, and those are my teachers who have this podcast. It's amazing, Cami. Yes, please make a note of it and I can tell you more about it. And I just want to say right now, Cami is making notes of the podcasts because she's someone who you want to know if you have a podcast. And she's someone if you want to know if you want to be on podcast, because Cami has an amazing podcast of her own, and she's also a connector where she's going to be like a matchmaker in the podcast in the space. And she's going to hold space for the podcast and podcasters.
Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, so I just had to say that. So she collects the best, and you can get it through. You can connect. You can find, like, discover the most amazing podcasts through Cami's platform. That's true. That is true. Exactly.
It is true. It's building. We're in the process of building, but we're very close to being there. And we're doing weekly posts on our Extraordinary Women Connect page, connecting great podcast guests to great podcast hosts, with the intention of creating some deeper work underneath all of that. So it's coming together.
Jemma got to be there because you're just so aligned.
Yeah, I can tell. I'm aligned with everybody on this call. The animals, the nature, all the podcasting. I'm like, yes, these are my women. I can tell.
Yes, we are. And that's another thing about love. It's that invisible gold thread that connects souls that are from the same family. It's just like, we're like magnets. And when we come together, we create magic. So what I started to say about Spiritually Hungry podcast, and the last episode that I've heard was about Rethink Love. So I'm going to borrow that. I did not say that, but I'm borrowing it. Rethink Love. So if we think about love, right? In the past, we would go out in the world in the morning, and then we would come back home at night, and we would have a little bit of interaction, dinner, a little smiles, a little fun, or other things together as a family. Now, we would all have time apart, and we would all have like different energies coming in. We would go to gym, we might go to the concert, we might see some friends. So right now, people are having a completely different dynamic. Some of those things are simply not available. And you find yourself with your family, with people who you live in the same space, together for a number of hours that you've never been together so long in the past. Now, for some people, it's an amazing gift. And for some people, it's a challenge. And that's why a lot of people are all of a sudden realizing that I don't even know who I'm living next to. Like all of a sudden, like this intimacy of space was kind of forced on us, and we are looking in the mirror, and we need to be honest, and we need to be true, because there's no other way to be in a small space, right? So people are rethinking relationship, rethinking love. It's nothing wrong with it. The life, the universe, the God guided us to this place so that I believe we could be better, we could be more authentic, could be more aligned with our truth. And then again, for some people, it's an amazing way to discover each other again, right? And to have that time that we never have time for. So here's my question. How do you, during these times, extend love and compassion to people closest to you? And I want to just point out that compassion is a very important word. And how do you extend it to your family and to your loved ones? Who wants to go first? You can just, yes, Jemma, please.
It's just so strange to hear you ask it. And then in my mind, again, and I don't know, I guess my message tonight is just this letting go, because I find that it's my expectations of others. It's those things that create the resistance that I may have in this shared space. And again, I have to let go of these expectations that someone behave a certain way or be a certain way. And having people so close all the time, which I probably have a lot more freedom than many people, or a lot more personal space. But I do notice that it's like when I'm around people, because it can be more intense with all of this time, it actually is reflecting back to me faster and faster what is coming up to be released. So without letting go, I'm not able to own that. I'm not able to take that in and just honor it, really honor that, something is coming up, and I can just take the time to see where this is coming from and let it go and bless it. Like having compassion for self in these times where it's so easy to be frustrated, or with children. I have a 10-year-old and she homeschools with the COVID, and there's that, and you would think it'd be easier, but then I don't know, there's just so much time together. So it's wonderful because it's just a beautiful time to see what in you is being reflected back, and I'm saying you, but it's me, obviously. It's like I'm seeing this for myself. And I think it's giving a lot of people the fast track to get back into their own path and their own journey, rather than living in this asleep way of following programs that we've written for ourselves to just follow every day. And those safe programs kept us from this intimate journey of self. That's our true journey, is to know ourselves. So I've been so grateful, because I've noticed with so many people that they're getting it, and they're questioning it, and they're loving this opportunity, and I'm loving it. And it's just, yeah. So that's how I don't know if they answered the question. Did it?
Yes, no, it's great. And I just want to bring back one word you said that I absolutely love. Let it go and bless it. Let it go and bless it. And just that alone brings us back to where we need to be. Exactly. Thank you, Jemma. It was beautiful. Thank you. So who wants to go next, ladies? April, please just unmute yourself.
So I completely related to what Jemma was just saying. It is so easy for people to get on each other's nerves that you are around constantly that you may not have been before. And I think a few things. Honestly, other relationships in my life, like my soul sister, Frankie, and other people that I may not have been able to have so much really just quality time with, that I have now, that helps mentally. It helps emotionally kind of balance through everything else. And also focusing on positive things that I wasn't able to do before. So if, the day is just stressful and everyone is kind of on each other's last nerve, it's like changing it up. Okay, well, you know what? Tonight we're going to have a movie night. We're going to have a game night, or we're going to make sure we all have dinner tonight, or read a daily devotional. That pretty much happens almost every night, where we read a daily devotional. And it's funny because, it's like God always knows what to say when, and it always relates to whatever you were arguing about, or whatever that topic was that everyone was stressed out about for that day. And it kind of puts it all in perspective, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. Let me take a step back. So taking a step back, really enjoying that quality time and being able to do things that normally, we'd be at work or rushing around or going from one thing to the next. And it's like, well, instead of focusing on nitpicking every little tiny thing that frustrates us, let's focus on the big picture of, we never would have had this time before. We never would be able to do the things that we're doing, and to cultivate quality time with your friends and family that you wouldn't have had otherwise.
Thank you, April. And I love how your thread is appreciation. One way or another, each one of us has that message to the world, and I love that. It's the appreciation. Thank you. Cami, would you like to?
Sure. As I think through this question, I feel like I've really been fortunate. So first of all, my son has grown. So he's grown, and he's in Portland. I'm in Colorado. So we did do a road trip to see each other. My husband, who typically travels a ton, he's a FEMA employee. So he is usually gone for months at a time. And since like March 25th of last year, he's been home, and we've been, we office down the hall from each other. And the beautiful thing is that we are very blessed to get along. When I was single, we were both single for many, many years. And so we appreciate the time that we get together, and we tore kitchens apart and we tore bathrooms apart, and we had a lot of fun with that. So that's been, we kind of kid, we say it's been really easy for us. And I feel very blessed that I'm in an easy relationship there. When I think about this year, though, there has been some relationships in my life that have been really tested, and relationships that I care deeply about. And so when you ask the question about compassion, that really rang home for me, because I can just feel it in my throat as I start to say this, because it's relationships that have a lot of meaning to me that have been broken in this year. And that's one of the things that when I pause to think, I put a lot of mind space on this one particular relationship. And I've really taken to practicing compassion, trying to feel where that person is and trying to understand it, and knowing that, we have different philosophies. We may not ever cross, we'll never be on the same side of those philosophies. And I still love that person with, all of my heart. And so that's the space where, when I think about love and compassion, that I feel like I'm drawn into that, because it's like, I know that's the only way that I can treat that relationship. And I can open up space for healing and that sort of thing. But the only way I can't be in a judgment mode. And I was doing that for a while, right? I was totally being in a judgment mode, and I had to catch myself being in that judgment mode and pull back and say, this isn't serving anything. That's such a harsh energy to put out into the world. And it's not in alignment with who I want to be. And so it's really a practice of practicing compassion that I've had to really play with in this year.
Thank you, Cami. And you touched upon something so big, because inside of families, the closest people, the closest partners might have had disagreement about what is happening in the world, or who should be president, or who should be doing, like how the world should be, which direction the world should go. So we are all affected by it.
Yeah.
I know that in my family, we have different views. And I love to combine what Jemma said, to let go without expectation and judgment, what you said, Cami, without judging it.
And we have to call ourselves on it, because, I had to really catch myself and know that that's where I was going with it, and say, this isn't serving anything, and this won't heal. The judgment won't heal. And I want the healing to come. So there's that, whereas put the love energy and the compassion energy. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Frankie, I think you're next.
Cami, what's interesting that I was thinking of as you were talking, I remember when I read one of Mother Teresa's biographies, No Greater Love. And here is a woman, touching the world and making a difference in the lives all over the nations. And she always talked about the importance of love and compassion and grace beginning in the home. And that if it can't start there, then how can we begin anywhere else?
Exactly. It definitely has to start with us.
Yeah,
So
it starts in the home, and the home of our hearts, and the home of the family, our family, our spouse, the people we are in home with is our first ministry, our first spiritual, emotional calling. And it can be, I think, the hardest.
Yeah.
The most shaping. It's like being on the potter's wheel and you're clay and you're soft. And it's difficult. And I think something that I've been learning a lot lately, even just in the relationships that April and I have in our organization, the amazing family members of our team, the family in my home, is just to practice the extent of grace that God gives me, which is endless and abundant and eternal. And when I look at my relationships in comparison to my relationship with God, I am able to have more space for grace, right? So it just really helps a lot that there's a limitless amount of grace. And when I can understand there's like an eternal grace out there for me to love with the love that I've been loved, it's really life-changing, and it's helped me grow a lot, because like Cami, we've all experienced some difficult things this year. So.
Thank you, Frankie. It makes me think about being unconditional, regardless, not because of something, but regardless. And if God, we want to be given a second chance. We want God, Creator, whoever you connect with, give us a second chance. So extending it to other people comes from love. And that's the only place where we can come from when we're saying, I believe in you, or you deserve second chance or third chance, because we want it for ourselves. So we need our fourth chance, our fifth. All the chances that you need, you should have, because that's why we're here. We're here to transform. We're here to become better, to grow, to expand. And the place to come from is love. And so thank you for that, Frankie. I know you always bring that big picture view and taking us to zoom out and see where we all come from to begin with. And I was just thinking, like, today I put my necklace, which is unconditional love. It's a combination of 3 letters. It's Kabbalistic, metaphysical, and this combination equals vibration of energy, unconditional love, because I wanted to share it. Receive it as well. I want to share it, please. I want to share it as much as possible as well. So you just reminded me of that. And Mikki, mic to you.
So I will share just briefly before I ask you all the last question. As 2020 nears the end and 2021 was starting, everyone thought there was this magic wand and everything would just be perfect on January 1st of 2021. And I know nobody really believed that, but we all sort of kind of hoped maybe. But, everyone was looking forward to this just change, and everyone was looking maybe for their power word or their new thing going forward. And I made some decisions in my life going forward. I had a lot of life changes, absolutely none of them COVID related, which was ironic, in 2020. And I made the decision because of all those experiences that I had in 2020 to live my life going forward. And I use the acronym, live my life going forward, with pounds and kilograms. And I use that so that as someone cuts me off, I say pounds and kilograms, pounds and kilograms. And the reason I say that is because I live my life going forward with love, belief, kindness, and grace. And I live with those 4 words always on the 2 sides of my hands as God is helping me steer the wheel. And those, for me, it's just that acronym of pounds and kilograms. And I say that to myself constantly all day long, in lots of different situations, sometimes on the phone and, or like I said, when someone is not meeting your needs, or maybe something's, like you said, Jemma, is being reflected back at you, right? Pounds and kilograms, pounds and kilograms. I just got to live my life by this love, belief, kindness, and grace. So that being said, we've talked about this a lot through our broadcast this evening about how it really all kinds of begins with us and our relationship with ourselves. But I'm kind of hoping you can talk to us a little bit and maybe even give us a personal example or a story about how that relationship with yourself, how it actually affects others in your community, in your family, or in the world, or that you've seen an example of that, of maybe some of the things that you've shared with us tonight, and maybe a story that you can share with our community of how that has impacted people in your, whether it's through your organization, the two of you, or through your podcasts, or through people in your family. Who would like to go first? Or is the Rolodex? Go ahead, Jemma.
Yeah.
My twin. I couldn't believe it when she showed me your picture. I'm like, oh my goodness, someone who has hair almost as short as me.
Do you have very short hair?
I have
Couldn't tell. I thought it was pulled
extremely.
back.
It's
Oh,
short, very.
I love
mine was
your
probably that long this
hairstyle.
morning.
And I cut it nice and short just for you today.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. I did mine too. So I just had this experience, and I feel really blessed to have people reflect back to me often, and it's just such an honor to hear those words that confirm, that the path I'm doing does make a difference. And I just got a new student. I teach art classes, and I teach art from I teach art to other humans from the perspective of learning life lessons, not just art lessons. So it's about being in flow. It's about receiving inspired action. And even though for me it's a very spiritual process, I teach it to them as a human process. It's not about religion or spirituality. It's really about being a human being in this experience. So I love that. I love when they get the lesson about being grounded to do art, because I want them to channel their own art, not do someone else's art. So it's I'll find them, because these are kids who are typically in front of screens. They're not very active, so they don't have a strong core, a lot of them, unless they're playing sports. So I'll find them leaning on the tables to paint, or just kind of twisted. And I love it. They get the lesson usually within two times of this happening. I'll come over and I'll tell them, I'm like, you're not standing in your power. How are you going to make art if you can't stand in your power? And I'll take a finger and push them, and they fall over. And I mean, just a poke, and they fall over, and they're just like, what the heck? And I'm like, that couldn't happen if you were in your power stance to do your artwork. And it's really cool. So I always like overact it and show them like an on guard, with a paintbrush, like if we were doing sword fighting or something. And I have them go in from that. And it's so amazing to see the shift in ownership of connecting to that wisdom, and that, because for me, it's just so powerful to get out of the box and step into the unknown. And people aren't in a habit of doing it. So it's just like teaching people how to get comfortable with going into the unknown, holding a paintbrush in a way you would never hold a pen. These are the kind of things I just love to do. And I got a new child, 4 years old. I do all ages, all adults and children. And this one was one of my new young ones. And he was fascinating to me. And I don't see these people as ages. I see them mostly as equals. And he came in, and I could tell he was feeling out everything was new. He just got dropped off. And he wasn't sure, like I heard he was a great artist. So it's just like, I was ready to stand back, but I kind of had to nudge him. And then I noticed he had ideas that weren't, you know, they were okay, but they were standard, like, oh, I'm going to draw something you would draw in school. Whereas this was like no, what do you call it? No limits kind of art, like that I offer no limit art. So I gave him a huge canvas to work with. I mean, it was like almost as big as he was. And he just went at it. He picked his colors. I kind of nudged him. I kept like, go pick your colors, go pick your paint. What, you know, let's get a brush. And then he went kind of like wild with this canvas and had this sudden burst of energy. Like he was exploding. And I could tell it was like he wanted to be good and focus on the art and do what he came to do. But he had this pent up energy that little boys often do. And it would just explode with like a sudden, like throwing out the arms with a paintbrush in his hand, mind you, you know, and I was like, ah! Like I was looking for it, you know, paint at the walls. And miraculously, I didn't see anything, nothing on the floor, you know, and it was wild. And then after he left, I talked to his mom and just wanted to give her an overview because it was like her baby, you know, like, and how, you know, how he did. And I was describing his experience and how, you know, it was just so wild to see him. And she said, that is your gift, you know, your ability to be so compassionate that you can understand your students from where they are. And I was just like, I never thought of that.
I love that, Jem. I love that because you remind us that the way we can share love and compassion with people around us is by meeting them where they are and helping them to step into creativity and the way to express themselves from that place. Like only like you delivering so brilliantly that place of love. Sorry, I just had to say it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So
It's beautiful. Cami, would you like to go next? Go ahead.
Sure, I'll go next. It's a great question. And as I was thinking through this, I thought what it took me to immediately was my belief that I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs right now. Mm-hmm. And it's my passion is getting women's wisdom out, helping women get their voice out, helping them go out and be seen and find the courage of who they are, that light of who they are, and doing it in a way that's unique to each person. So it's kind of building on what Jemma was just saying, is like, you know, this light inside these children is the light inside the women that I get to work with, and not building businesses in like a formulaic kind of way, but actually helping them find the way they're meant to do it. And I think why that stands out for me right now so much is in this last couple of weeks, several of my clients have been just launching new podcasts and new YouTube channels. And it was like, I actually sat down and made the list of them last night, and I was like blown off my feet. It was like, oh my gosh, look all the stuff that's coming out into the world from these women that I've had the gift of being able to work with and be on that journey with them. And their messages are like very transformational things that are, you know, they're helping people change the way they eat, or helping people change the, you know, finding meth toxins in homes that, you know, people don't even know exist. You know, it's all these different change makers, influencers, and it's that ripple effect, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I go back to the statement of, I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs, that we show up differently, we do things differently, that we transform our world by the gifts that are within each one of us. And I saw that list. I was just so freaking proud of that. I was like, oh my God, look what has happened, what's come out of this community in the last few months. It blew me away. So I'm going to play with that and just, you know, soak in the gifts that they're taking out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
They're barking. Oh,
I love that.
Thank you. And firsthand, I know about that community, and firsthand, I know the support that you provide and inspiration you provide for women. So you guys whoever is listening, whoever is interested, check out CamiGuildner.com or just get in touch with Cami. She's amazing. And also, I just wanted to say, Jemma, I have to take your art classes. Like, you inspired me just so much right now. I just want to be in your art studio. I want to be that boy. I'm coming. That's it. We're making a date. So thank you. And please also drop a note in the comments where how can people find you? Because you're located in New Jersey, right? So just give the address or website or anything that people can find you by, because I know how amazing you are. I've been in your art studio. So, and who wants to?
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
This is what was barking.
Yeah.
I know. Her and her husband, but she was the culprit. So sorry about that.
So I took over while she was barking. Sorry.
I know. All of a sudden I heard the key in the door and I'm like, oh no, here it comes. So what a great segue into Frankie or April, right? Because they have their project with animals.
Yeah, we do, and I'll share really shortly so April can as well. We're like half connected. She's half and I'm in half, and we come together. Or we're both wholes. You're right. It's, I don't even know really where to start. I was looking at the Light the Earth vision. We have like a 10-year vision of creating an oasis for women, children, and animals. We have like digital illustrations for the 10-year vision. And it's really wild. You know, every week, April and I try to look at it to be re-inspired, because I remember years ago being in prayer and asking God to reveal my life purpose to me. And I think about all of the time that I spent in prayer. And prayer and being in the scripture for me is huge self-care. Anytime I can rest in the presence of God, my soul finds rest. Therefore, I am a restful soul throughout the whole day, and the world is better for it. And I just remember getting the blueprint of Light to Earth Sanctuary, and I know that April's experienced the same. And it's totally wild to be 3 years later into it. You know, I'm 27 years old, and to have a team of like 9 people and all of us working towards the vision, and being reminded this week of this divine blueprint that we've been given, that we're actually creating into reality. And it's a great, I think, encourager that everything of greatness comes from times alone in stillness and really looking within and really reflecting. And if we don't have a relationship with ourselves, and if you have a relationship with the higher power, that's beautiful and powerful. I really know that the place of greatness really comes and starts as a seed in the place of quietness and stillness within. So yeah, it's just been really powerful. I know April can connect with that as well.
Honestly, the ripple effects of just the planning and the visioning of Light to Earth Sanctuary, I mean, we've seen it transform our lives. We've seen it transform the lives of the women and children we've served, the lives of people that just have volunteered. So seeing that and being like, wow, this all started because, you know, God put that dream in our hearts and that seed, and we, you know, acted on it. Also for me too, kind of going off of what Jemma was saying, and this is initially what I thought the second you started talking, Julia, is the meeting people where they are, but really allowing them to be seen and heard. I think that's key, because we're so used to talking and sharing our advice and opinions. And a lot of times people that are in a difficult place or think, you know, they need to be at a certain level in order to speak on a topic or go to an event or whatever it may be, kind of withdraw within themselves, or they just come to their own conclusion or assumption that, no one will understand or they won't accept me. So, they create these walls. And a lot of this time, especially during COVID, but even before this, allowing myself to not let, your mind of start doubt and fear and whatever it may be, cloud your judgment and say, okay, well, let me take a step back and let me really try to understand this other person from their point of view. And for me, my higher power is God, and God always accepts us where we are and who we are, no matter what our past is. And I think by allowing people the chance to talk and just saying, like, well, tell me more about that and how, about what goes through your mind and how that makes you feel, versus letting them talk and just waiting for your chance to talk. It's really allowed me to have such deep relationships with people and allowed myself, my point of view, to completely change on so many different topics, learning, having an open mind and learning from a different point of view. And then for allowing those people to really feel confident in who they are, to kind of take it to the next level. And I have a friend that went through a very difficult time for many, many years. And she never felt like she was good enough. And she struggled with addiction. And she just didn't think anyone would be able to understand. And I recently talked to her a few days ago, and she was telling me about, like, she is looking into being a drug and alcohol counselor. And to me, that's those ripple effects of, like, finding yourself, your own voice, your own authentic voice, and then using that for good, and that ripple effect of then helping others with it.
Yes, very much so, especially that effect on others. Kind of what Jemma said is sort of reflecting back, right? Letting what we give reflect back in a way. Our gifts are our gifts, but we really give our gifts. They're not meant to be kept.
Yeah. And April, that was so beautiful. Thank you. How perfect it is to kind of complete our conversation today. And we can go on and on and on, I feel, but we want to honor the time. We want to honor the space of time that we promised we're going to hold this conversation within. And I don't want to end it, because there's never too many times or too much to say about how we love, how we can share love, how our being connected to ourselves and loving ourselves, self-love, is affecting our communities, affecting the world as a ripple effect. It's magic, and we should. And I'm really inviting us to come back to this conversation and to continue, because the more we do, the more hearts are opening up. And each one of you plays this beautiful role in your community, in people who are listening to you, who are able to hear you, to inspire them, to allow them, to meet them where they are, so that they can share more with others as well. It's paying forward at the same time as looking in the mirror, at the same time as going inwards. So it's a beautiful energy and just a conversation to be connected with and be sharing with the world. So each one of you are so special. I'm so grateful for you guys, for you ladies, that you took time out of your very busy days, because I know each one of you are doing so much and you're so busy. So thank you for creating this space. Thank you for sharing your love with us. We're going to do more of it. And please do leave your information so people can contact you, because a lot of people are going to be watching it as a replay. And I know that I am going to visit Light to Earth Sanctuary finally, because we had conversation with Frankie about it when it was at the seed level of it. And now it's manifested, and it's amazing to see that. So I cannot wait to visit. I know I'm going to take Jemma's class, and I want to be that boy who is allowed to just paint. And I know that Cami is my mentor, and there's a lot of work that we are doing together. And I know that Mikki is my partner, a friend, and we create so much together. So I'm just inviting you to open your eyes and look who is around you, and just allow people to be part of your world, because there's magic happens in that space. So we can unmute ourselves and you can say anything you want before we say goodbye.
Thank you so much for hosting us tonight. And I'm just the word that is coming up for me that wants to come out is my word of the year, or my phrase of the year, which is soft lines. And I think in soft lines is where we find the love. So thank you.
Mm. Thank you, Julia, so much. We adore you, and thank you for inviting us to talk about love. I know that we are all busy, and I think the moment I saw we're talking about love, I'm like, oh, I'm there.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
Julia, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. I appreciate like more love, because I feel like it's been the message very strongly for like months, to learn to love yourself, and to learn. I mean, I love it. I love it. And it's been like a ongoing theme, love yourself. If you want to love others, if you want to love your job, if you want to love your home, find a way to love yourself, fall in love with yourself. It just keeps coming back to that. And so this was perfect.
Yeah.
What a
Thank
gift
you.
to give people, Julia.
Thank you, Jemma. Thank you, every single one. If you want to say anything else before we say goodbye, please just go ahead and jump in.
Just appreciate the safe space to really speak from the heart right now.
Yes. Did you notice the message from April today is appreciation.
Yes.
Appreciation.
Thank you, April.
Amen. So it is.
Amen. So it is. It is done. It is done. It is done, and so it is.
Thank you for bringing us all together too. I can't wait to know everybody more.
Yes, Mikki. You guys should know that we created it together with Mikki. So, my love.
Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for everyone for being so open and willing to share, and being so just sort of raw and transparent and vulnerable at the same time, with being willing to share some personal stories and some information. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Sending so much love to every one of you, whether you're watching us. I'm going to try to do that. Yes, whether you're watching us live or on YouTube, if you want to share it with anybody who you think might enjoy it, please share it. Please share this broadcast. Please join us in our conversations. Leave us comments. Leave us a heart. Leave us a smile.
Yay!
Fuzzy and soft, and I love you, Mikki. I love that. And not to be too serious, right? Let's have fun. Mwah. So much love. Bye.
Bye-bye.